This is part 3. We are going to continue to build a CRM with Ninox. First, maybe for those who don't know me, I'm Jakob Jordan. I grew up in Portugal and I lived in Berlin. I live in Berlin now for quite some time. Before I started with Ninox, I was a UI UX designer, which is great because actually Ninox helped me to improve my UX skills. Because it's actually, with Ninox, you can build prototypes so fast and so quick. Mostly you can't do that with design tools. And it's always good to have like a user experience before you do the user interface. I started with Ninox 3 years ago. And since then, my company, Q23 Consulting, is supporting companies and helping them to digitalize their processes of Ninox. Okay, so far so good. Our schedule didn't change that much from the last time. We have 60 minutes. And in the first webinar, we just focused on construction. And because coding or scripting and automations were not that important for the first part, because you need a core structure with tables, fields, and relations. Quickly in the next webinar, in the second one, we started with coding. And so most of the time, as soon as you have like a core structure, it's like a forth and back between constructing and coding. So new modules have to be constructed with tables, and they have to be implemented with fields, and they have to have relations. And after that, you do the coding, like what I call the Ninox magic. But we will have a bit more focus on automations, which is also like based on scripts. But yeah, we will see how far we can get. As you can see, our course structure in the first webinar was very small, like we had only 6 modules. In the second one, we added 3 modules, so it's growing, right? And that's pretty normal in a Ninox project, not only CRMs, but quite everything you build, every app you build with Ninox is going to grow with the time and with feedback from the customers, the clients, or their co-workers. So yeah, we added departments last time, we added appointments, and we added field service. Like for those who don't know field service, like it's when you send a lot of our clients have the problem that they don't have the overview of where their sales people, their sales employees are going. Like the sales employees have their own operations. They can structure themselves sometimes, but most of the time they don't have a tool to structure their field services properly, so it's effective. So for example, if a sales person wants to go to Berlin to one client, why shouldn't he visit like 3 other clients that are also in Berlin, based in Berlin, right? So he takes most out of the field service appointment he has due to costs. Should be more effective. And that's what we built last time, like a field service tool, the base. And we are not going to add new modules this time. but we will do some deep dives in the new module and the modules we added last time. So we will build something like a lead Safari, which means that what I just said, if someone goes to Berlin to visit a customer, he should see who else is in Berlin and make an appointment also on the same day maybe. And we'll build an automation so he can set a location he wants to go, and the tool Ninox will automatically create suggestions for companies who are based on in a specific radius, depending on the starting point. So this is one automation we are going to build. Also, like the same goes for field service management. We are auto-generate field service management from appointments. I think this is what we did already last time, but I'm going to show it to you again. And we also had like, we have this reports. If someone goes to a field, like if someone goes to an appointment for a customer, he wants to note down what the customer wants. Maybe he wants some products, maybe he wants something else. And the sales or the employee, the user should have a possibility to add a report to his field service appointment. And to not forget this, we will create a task for him, right? So this will be automated tasks from specific to-dos inside the process of field service. I think I missed something. We have also, well, let me check here. So we had some change requests also. Niels and I, we set up a Ninox database for those who have questions or want to see change requests, want to see changes. They can do a change request. They just can't write in the Zoom chat, and Niels will put those change requests in our to-do list. So I think we had some change requests last time. Constraints for unique entries while linking. We will see if we have time for this. Start time function. This was a hint from Stefan Mais. Last time we also have created a script to import and connect companies. I will show to you soon. And yeah, we will do this lead Safari, but without a map. We also have these reports in mind. And I don't think we will have time, but travel expenses is definitely also a topic we should look into. All right. Also last time I announced that we have like a sandbox Slack workspace. If you want to join this workspace, and because we did some API work, like we created a button where you can send a task from Ninox to Slack, like a reminder. And if you guys want to like play around with this, you can request to be added to this Slack workspace. Just write in the Zoom chat. All right. Oh, you can contact me via LinkedIn or email address consulting@q23.de or consulting@ninox.com. Feel free to contact me if you need any help. And yeah, let's build.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Just real quick, Alan on Facebook said this is brilliant. I'm going to need to build something similar soon, referring, I think, to the feature for the requests For the how do you call it? The Vorschläge. I forgot the English word for it. Where it shows you which other appointments you can make in a specific city. So, Ellen, if you have exactly. So, Ellen, if you have another request or something you would like specific and it would like implemented, just like everything else, just like Jakob said in this second ago, you can write in the Zoom chat. You can also write in the Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, or Twitter. We will be monitoring those, and we will be adding all the change requests to the to-do. So we will be looking at all of those either today or in future webinars.
Right, cool. Thank you. As I did the last time, I will not continue building in this database, but I will create a new one, and you can just see how I'm doing it. Like if you want to do a copy of a database because you think, okay, I don't want to continue building here. I want to do a new version. You create a backup. Then you have a manual backup, and you can restore it. It takes a bit, depending on the size. But then you have a restore, which is basically a copy. You can rename it, give it maybe another color, which is recommended so you don't get confused, which happened to me quite some times. Okay, so if you guys want to look at the old databases from part 1 and part 2, you can always do that. And maybe I explain you guys what is the situation, right, Niels? Like yes. One look over. Okay, so last time, the last 2 webinars, we created companies. And the companies have like company size and rating. Companies have contacts, so you can add a contact, someone you always call. Companies can have projects, then we created also the contact, which is the other way around. So you can also create a contact and link a company. Like you can link a company to a person, which is then connected to this company. And in the companies, you have now, let me check the company here, Mr. Wade Morris is now a contact for this company, Delega. We had projects. Like projects are also linked to a company, and projects can have a date from and a date to. They can have a project owner, as it's usual. They can have tasks. And you can, like every project has tasks, so you can add a new task. I think it's task 4, task 5, for example, has a due date. This task has a status. You say it's in progress, you will see it in the project. So here you have an overview of the tasks and that are connected to the project. And you also can add a task owner, which is a list of people that are not contacts, but team members. So this was, I think, yeah, last time in part 2, we switched from, we added departments. These are 2 possibilities of connecting, like connecting a department to a team member. Yeah, and those team members are connected to the tasks. So every team member can also, if Alex looks into his profile, he can see his tasks, right? And he can see maybe like what is missing here is which project, but he can dive into the task and look up, okay, I have a new task which is connected to project 1. So it got more and more complex. We also had, like, every task had notifications. You can add a notification, date and time. You can choose the type of notifications. Currently, we don't have any of these really activated, but Slack. What we also did in the first webinar is to create a script to send it to Slack. I'm not gonna explain this script in detail, but it actually posts via the Slack hook API. It posts data from our task. So for example, created by the username, it sends the title of the task, the status, and the due date. Okay, we are maybe we're going to try this right now. Okay, check Slack. Where's Slack? Here it is. Yes. So if we put this aside, you can see it sends in real time messages to Slack. And you can, this is just a task. You can basically send everything, right? Reminder for different things. Everyone who wants to like copy those codes and play around with it, you can get invited. You just have to send your email to Niels or in the Zoom chat. Niels will add you to the team, and then you can, I think everyone is administrator, so you can edit the buttons and you can open, you can copy the code. Okay, something else we did was to add leads. Like we implemented some conditions, like only if the field contacted is on 1, the approval, the proposal drop down appears. Same for the payment. It only appears if we select approved, because it doesn't make any sense to select something else, to select the payment if it's not approved. Okay, so those were conditions. We added departments. Then we added appointments. And here we did some cool stuff. This is like the focus we are going to have today: appointments and field service. We want to go to a person like Mr. Morris that works at Delega, this company we just saw, and we have an appointment, like maybe tomorrow. We have a date from 2. It's still unconfirmed, but let's say it's confirmed. Yeah, we have to check, like we added this date assignment, which is basically assigning people to this appointment. So Felipe, who's from sales, let's look into the team member. Yeah, he's from sales. He is in charge for this appointment. So this would be also a case for Slack, for example. Like we can quickly delete Felipe just to show this process. Also delete this one. So we will assign Felipe to go to this appointment, and he needs to confirm if he takes over or not. So this would be a case where you can like add a button and say send assignment request to Slack. All right, I'm not going to write this code right now, but this would be the use case for another Slack usage. All right, so Felipe takes over, and now Felipe wants to plan his week. He goes to field service, like before he goes in the car, looks at his map and says, okay, which customers I wanna visit this week. He goes to Ninox and plans his week. So he's going to select his account, his profile. He's going to say, okay, I wanna plan the week, like this week from 13th to 17th. It shows up automatically the calendar week. Like it's a pretty easy code, a pretty easy function. Our function is a built-in Ninox function. You can look up the Ninox functions on their website. So for example, week, what we just used, we have a lot of functions with week. And so now we ask for the week of the field date from. And as we have now a range of dates, we want to load the appointments. And you just saw how it automatically generates a field service assignment. All right, so Felipe now has a list of appointments. If we would add like another appointment, Diana, are you on the 15th? Time is not that important. Let's say 1 hour. It's confirmed. Like we have to assign Felipe, so it appears in his week plan, in his field service week plan. And if we load now the appointment again, Diana appears. So this is the code for date assignment. As you can see, it's a bit more complex than the other codes. I think it's, we don't really have the time to go into detail for explaining the codes, but I suggest you just try, or you can always ask me, like via email or LinkedIn.
Exactly. To maybe interrupt you for a quick second. Yeah, definitely. First of all, what you said, it helps a lot to just try around with the code, just play around with the code. So if you're in the team, just maybe make a copy of the database, upload it on your own team, delete a couple lines, add a couple lines, see what happens. So you get like an intuitive understanding. Also, another thing, Alan on Facebook responded and said that he would need to know. So basically, one thing that will be needed is to control who has access to what. For example, a team member not having edit control over project details. So I noted this as the general topic of access rights. Scott, also thank you for responding that you can easily define roles in Linux, define who can do what and so forth. Exactly. But we'll definitely also show it because obviously it's an important topic. So that's in the requests, and we will be looking at that at a future webinar.
Okay, cool. That's a very, very good topic. Maybe you can add another one, like what we also had, well, what our customers requested was that team members can only see their own field services and own appointments. Some companies have another like policy of not being that transparent who gains what. I don't know, maybe it's like a sales thing, so that one sales guy does not see how much the other sales guy does. But this would be like show only your own entries. This would be a nice point for next time.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm always trying to rush through this webinar and add as much like base functions and try not to go too much into detail so we don't get lost in details because I think in this Let's Build CRM, it's important to get the big picture, and we can always like fine tune what we build. So this would be fine tuning. Okay, let's start to build something new, which is called Lead Safari. I think this is a feature that a lot of people need. Lead Safari. Just basically, do we have like something that reminds of a safari? An elephant. Great. Okay, Lead Safari. What is a Lead Safari? So Lead Safari is basically a group of appointments. A group of appointments that are located in a specific radius, right? So what I just said before, if you go to Berlin and visit customer 1, you have customer 3 and 4, and maybe it's worth to visit them too. Just say hello or bring them flowers or whatever. So what we're going to build is a Lead Safari, and let me just check my cheat sheet. Yeah, for a Lead Safari, you will need a starting point. And Ninox has this cool field called location, which is a built-in map. I call it starting point. So if you select, if you click select, you have this cool map. You can like drag around, set some point. I'm just going to type in Berlin. So this would be the starting point. And then we need also a radius. Right, like in 10 kilometers around, wait, let's give it a number format. Can always give a number field a format, which is really cool. Not only euro or the standard formats, but also kilometers or whatever unit you need. So we need a radius, and we need also a date. And then we need appointments. So what we want to do is to create from this table, from this entry, we want to create automatically appointments with the status unconfirmed. So you have a random list, not a random list, but a list of companies inside this radius. So we're going to do a link from and connect appointments. Okay. And then we're gonna dive right into coding. We call the button. So we wanna trigger everything. We wanna trigger a script with a button. We call it generate appointments. And we do it on click. So first of all, we define where we are. This is something you always should do. Let Safari be this. So we can work. Let defines a variable, and we're gonna use this variable several times. That's why it makes sense to make a variable. We are gonna create potential companies, and we are going to select all companies first of all. Companies. not found. Companies, okay, companies. All right, now it's getting a bit tricky. We're going to say for company in potential companies, potential companies. Oops. I'm just going to copy it here. It's easier. So for every company, we are going to create an appointment. Okay. So let new appointment be create appointments. New, and we can use this. This is again a variable that is creating entries in appointments, and we are going to use this new variable to access their fields. So new appointment dot company, what you just saw, an appointment, and you can look into it here on the left side. We're going to new appointment dot company is this company. Oh, no field data. All right, let me check. There's something missing. So what we have now is only the contact connected to the company, but we will need also the company itself for this purpose. This is something automatic. We can delete this. Company. Right. So now we can also just visit a company and not only a contact. And in the lead Safari, let's go back into the code. So now for all companies that we have in our list, we add a new appointment. We access the field company we just created and connect it to the company loop. So like I said, if you guys have any questions, we can go into this another time, but for the purpose of like having a something to show, I need to rush through this. Okay, also we have to connect the appointment to the Safari. So the Safari is basically a group of appointments. And now comes the tricky part. I also have to copy paste. First of all, we need P, like the P, you know, from math. We need the radius we just defined here. And now we need something I also gonna copy and paste because it's too much math that I can explain it, but feel free to copy the code, right? So basically, I say, I just forgot the word. Calculates, it basically calculates the radius from the longitude of a company, from the longitude of the Safari, of the starting point we define, and the company location, okay? It's something with square and P and whatever, but it actually works if you copy it. And then we want to define, this is the radius. Wait, I'm gonna write it. This is the radius in the end, the number we want to ask. So if dt is bigger than our radius, so if a company location is not inside our radius, then void. Void is something that just skips, right? It loops through all the companies we have, and it skips those who have a location that is not within our radius. Else, if it's in our radius, it should create this new appointment. Okay, so this is all the code, very basic. Let's try this. Like, we need to add a location to companies, actually. So let's put this up here. Like in Ninox, you can always change your layout with drag and drop. We are not going into layout this time, and also not the other times. I think should be something for a whole webinar. But okay, let's add a like a location, and it would make sense to add like Kreuzberg. Some of you might Kreuzberg. It's a part in Berlin, so it should appear in our lead Safari, right? So if we go now here to our lead Safari, we have the starting point Berlin in a radius of 10 kilometers, create appointment, and it creates 2 appointments actually, because obviously we have 2 companies in Berlin. Right, let's show up the column location. Yeah, one is just Berlin and the other is Berlin-Kreuzberg. Maybe a third company, we give the location Hamburg, right? Let's look into this Safari. We delete what we had, create an appointment, and only create the 2. Okay, because the other one is in Hamburg. It's not within the radius.
Maybe you can show the company name in the appointments table so you can see exactly which company it is.
I'm going to do this in a second. I think I just triggered something that Ninox doesn't like. All right. Yeah. Let's show up the company. Okay. And also location, maybe. Company. So you can always dive, if you add columns, you can always dive through the linked tables and add the fields from the tables in those linked tables. Okay, so location is Berlin, and you can see it works. This is very basic. We could, like, maybe this is something for the next time, we could also add filters. For example, rating, right? So this is the reason why we have a rating field here. Rating. And we can, because now we can also filter between companies that have a high rating or low rating, because we only want to visit like, I don't have the stars here. Now let's just write 3 stars, 2 stars, 1 star. Okay, so now you can like add a filter. And this filter would be, for example, like we have our potential companies we have here. And this is actually the location where we can add filters, where the rating of the company is equal to the rating we have here. So the Safari dot rating, which is the field here.
Before you exit the code, real quick, Stefan has a question. Would this not be better to do as server? So running the button basically as server.
Yeah, probably. If you have more companies, you can do that. But actually do as server just like saves you time on the front end. but I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's a process that runs behind also. And if you like push the button too often, do a server, you create like a bottleneck, and at some point Ninox will like get stuck, right? So it's always good to write your code as good as you can. For example, select companies is a huge filter, but if you add filter, is a huge process because it goes through all the companies, hundreds and companies. But if you add filters, like you decrease the process, right? So we can also ask if a company actually has a location where rating, no, let's put it here, where location is null. And so we have two filters. It should have a location and it should have the same rating. Of course, you can always do a server, but it's not necessary right now. I think we don't have that much companies. So if we delete those records again, we only want those companies with 3 stars. So both have 3 stars. We give the Lega 2 stars, and maybe let's see if the filter works. Yep, we have only the company with, let's show the stars, the rating with 3 stars. All right, and same goes for 2 stars. All right, so we can filter a lot of things, and sales people, they can actually improve this much better than me because they know what they need. But it helps them to structure the work. So yeah, that's it for now. Maybe just another word to duplicates. Like, as you can see, we have this duplicates, and it's a huge problem because we don't want to have these appointments all the time, like multiple duplicates. So we will have to ask if this appointment is already, if we have already this company. So this is what we are going to ask here, do. So we're going to count the companies. So let existing appointments be select. No, we can ask here in these appointments. So this is basically the same as select, but much quicker. And you can only do this if this table is already linked inside this entry. Let existing companies, existing appointments be appointments where, and this is where we have here, you write it with square brackets, where company is equal to company. So we ask if the company is already inside, and now we count if count existing appointment is bigger than 0, then void, else run the script. And as we have another if, we also need to add another and. So now it should just skip. Yeah, it just skips. We can add, of course, we can change the filter now and add the 3 stars too, right? But it won't add more. This is very important if you go into automation and scripting. So, wow, time just rushed this time. Maybe we can have a look into what appointments, tasks, automatic tasks. Okay, so we did the lead Safari. We didn't do the reports, no time for that. Start time function. Let's have a look into our, quickly into our to-do list. I think one of the Stefan Mais, he said the start timing function is not going to work. The trigger will set the date on every change status. Okay. I think this was here. Or check. Do you remember where we had this, Niels?
Maybe in the appointments, but I'm not entirely sure actually.
Ah, yeah, in the point. Yeah, started. I know where it is. So then. So I want to try to at least fix one of the change requests. As we are done with the lead safari so far, it works, but we can like go into it next time more if you want. Appointments, no, field service. I think it was here. So someone like Felipe goes to a field service appointment, and we had this timer here. So he goes to a customer, and before he like leaves the car and rings at the doorbell, and he says started, right? And I think what Stefan means is that if you click also on done and canceled, the time started will change, because what we did is time started is equal to now, right? And this is a trigger after update. So a trigger after update means if you click like change something here in the status, it will push the time into time started. And what we want to do is to only if it's if you click on time started, it should add the time started, because time done would be another time field, right? Time done. So and this should be only triggered if we click on done. So we can, here in the trigger, we can ask if status is equal to 2. 2 is the second selection, which is started. Then time started is now. And so it will only set the trigger. So now we have our time change. We have 2 p.m. and 51 minutes. And it should not change, right? It should not change when I click on done, canceled, open. It should only change when I click on started. And it's actually doing it only on started. So when we, and this is a logic you can always improve, right? But this is basically working a bit. And we want to do the same for done. So trigger after update. If status is equal to 3, then time done should be now. Right. So I started at 12:51 and now I'm done. Should be, we have to wait a bit. 52. We are done. Nothing works. Okay. I think, where did we write it? We wrote it in the wrong field. Sorry for that. So we can like do something. So we have this if status 2 then, and we can say else if status is equal to 3, then write into time done. Let me save this. Then you can see Ninox is setting this up very nicely. Okay, so now if I click on time done, it writes the time into this field. Started, done, okay. You can also like block, always block. If something is already written inside time started, you could say if status 2 is equal to 2 and time started is empty, is equal to null. Null means empty. Only then you can write into it. So you don't want to override. Like if I do click now on started, it doesn't write 53 because it's locked. But if as soon as I delete the field, it can write again. Right. So it's up to you if you want to block those fields. All right. And of course, if you want to know like how much time that was, I think you can do things like time started minus or time done minus time started should give out. Oh, yeah. Maybe you can look into like duration, right?
Maybe it's because the two are the same.
No, I think you have to, maybe you have to say duration. This is something, time is not that easy, but we can have a look next time, right? This is still wrong. Maybe someone from the other partners knows better than me how to deal with time. I always go to this cool webinar team, which is another webinar team inside Ninox. I think it's called Ninox, no?
It's webinar DE 2020, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. This is like a huge cheat sheet with a lot of databases from other partners and people. It's really cool, and you can look into numbers and dates, for example, and look up like there is a lot of stuff.
If you want to be invited into it, just drop your email in chat. I can also invite you into the webinar team. Also, Bastian in the chat wrote it's duration time 1, time 2, apparently, to get the duration out.
Thanks for that. Okay, so was quite there. Duration, maybe time, right? No, doesn't work too. Duration. No, anyway.
Well, he wrote duration. I don't know if you have to write it differently, like he wrote it into the Zoom chat.
Where's the Zoom chat? I can't see it. Ah, here it is. All right, duration. Nice. Duration, time 1, time 2. Nope.
I'll put it into the request so we can look at it next time.
Yeah, exactly. But it's basically what we want to do is like to set time started and time done, right? And it's going to change automatically. Only, yeah, if we have a specific status. Yeah, so we still have like 4 minutes. What else? Maybe you can show what I want to do next time is like logbook. Oh no, this is something we want to do another time. So next time I want to add reports. So we can add a report. I create a subtable. So like a title for the report, title, and we can add a multi-line field called notes, right? And maybe, yeah, that's enough for now. So if we want the sales guy to tell us, like if he goes out of his meeting, oh, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong table. So we're gonna do this again. So he's going, Wade Morris has to write a report on his appointment with a company, this company, Consup. So he should write a report this is what we're gonna look into next time. Title. Because what we are trying to do here is to be as much on real life as we can be. Report. Did we have report already? Reports? Oh, here. Sorry for that. We had it already. Okay, so we have report and reports. We're gonna delete this. Right. So now, okay. So now he can write a report. Report 1, customer wants to have a sample product. Okay. So, but what we heard is a lot of sales people, or just a lot of people, they do their job, what they can really do good, but all this other stuff like writing reports, maybe it's not their thing or they forget it. So what we are going to do is to create tasks connected to this appointment. Okay, so this is what we're going to do next time. So the Felipe is reminded, gets a task and gets reminded to write a report.